Look, Ja Morant's apology don't mean shit. If you've been following me for some time, you know that I talk about men that are facing separation, divorce, men that are just going through trials and who want to get better as communicators. And recently, Ja Morant, the basketball star for the Memphis Grizzlies, got into some serious trouble. Now, a couple months ago, I think it was 1 or 2 months ago, I don't know, by the time I'm filming this video, he got in trouble for, on social media, showing a gun at a strip club. He just like pulled it out, showed that he had this gun, wanted to be cool, whatever, for whatever reason he did that. He got in so much trouble that he was suspended by the league for 8 games for doing this. And he said, hey, I'm going to work on myself, or I'm going to get better. I'm going to make better decisions. And just this past weekend, he did the exact same thing on an Instagram Live, except this time he was driving a car and flashing a gun around. His response, though, was still part of the interesting piece, right? Because he finally spoke out today and was essentially saying, this is a journey. I'm committed to accountability. And it was just all words that some lawyer told him to say. So here's my thing, is that number one, when you are in trouble like this, it's either going to hit you one of two ways. One, you're going to feel deep, deep guilt, or two, you're going to feel deep, deep conviction. And there's a huge difference between the two. So guilt says I did something wrong, I messed up, and I got caught, or I did something wrong and I want to fix it, but I'm not really committed to the process of fixing it. I just feel bad about what I did. And especially people who've been caught in doing something wrong, they're never convicted to actually change. In the case of conviction, what it would come down to is someone who not just been caught doing something, but who recognizes the gravity of the problem and that they are the problem and they are the solution. So in his case, the problem is not his friends who he's hanging out with. The problem is not if he's smoking weed or whatever. The problem isn't the music he's listening to. He is the problem, and he has to recognize that. He has to take accountability and say, I am the problem, and because I am the problem, I must take responsibility for the problem. This is unacceptable. And so in an apology like this, especially men, if you're talking to your wife or you're making an apology to a friend or anybody like this, you have to take accountability in your apology. And for him to come out to the media and basically say, hey, I'm fully accountable to this, it was my fault. It's just some words that were written by an attorney. What I would have done if I was him was to say this: I take my career seriously, and clearly I have made some decisions that is affecting both my career and the people around me and the millions of kids that watch this. And it's not acceptable for me to continue doing what I've done. And therefore, I take full accountability and full responsibility for what I've done. I plan on working through this with a counselor to get to the bottom of why I continue to hang out with the people I hang out with, to continue to feel like I've got to show something with guns and whatever. Like, that would be conviction to change versus, hey, I'm in a process. It's just like, oh, I just made another mistake. I just made another mistake. He's just trying to assuage the guilt in his own mind versus dealing with the conviction. If you're this type of man where you feel guilty because you've been caught, you feel guilty because you've done some wrong things, you're never going to get to where you want to go to in life. You're never going to have the marriage you want to have. You're never going to be the business leader you want to be. You're never going to be the father you want to be if you can't take responsibility. Responsibility looks like owning your shit. And ownership is about setting a new standard. There was no new standard in what he said. It was just basically like, yeah, I got caught doing the thing, and I probably shouldn't have done the thing, and I take accountability for it. But he didn't set a new standard. And that's what was missing. And that's what's missing from almost every public apology you will ever hear. It's because nobody wants to set a new standard because they're scared that they can't actually live to that standard. But the reason you're scared of that is because you're not committed to the change that must happen. The more I've seen someone get committed to transformation, to the process of transformation, the easier it is for him to commit verbally, hey, this is not acceptable. Because you have to be in enough pain to where you recognize this isn't an acceptable way for me to display any kind of behavior. This type of behavior is unacceptable for me. Like, the standard is for me. Right now, he's living a standard based on other people. Maybe it's his parents, maybe it's the league, the Memphis Grizzlies, whatever it is. But Ja Morant is not living up to his own standard, or he's not setting a new standard for himself, He's living up to his current standard, which is like, guns are okay, splaying it on media is okay, riding with my homies and flashing my gun to show how powerful I am, show how cool I am, whatever it is, for whatever fucking reason he decided to do it, that's his reason. But the fact is there is no apology until you've set a new standard that says, I must be better, and here's how I'm going to do that. Otherwise, all of this is bullshit and lip service. So take that in consideration, Mr. Morant.